What is up, everybody? We're back with another live stream today. We're doing another tutorial, and this time it's going to be how to use Weatherwise a little bit. So let's get right into it. So let's open the Great Weatherwise app. So despite the fact that we have KILX radar on, I was checking that earlier, but today we're going to be focusing. First off, let's talk about the main bar at the top where it says radar, composite, satellite, outlooks, and the Weatherwise symbol itself. So let's talk about that. So first off, we have the Weatherwise symbol itself. Now I have Pro enabled because that's just how I roll with the Pro. But you can use the main stuff. It will just say Weatherwise, but I have Pro. Now if you click on that, you will have it'll lead you to all of these questions here. You'll get the download iPhone and Android app. If you click on that, it should send you to I think it's both the App Store and Google Play too to get in the App Store to get it. And then you have the Help Center where I'm pretty sure to click on that. Yeah. You can click on this. There's some frequently asked questions here. So if you have one of these problems, you can just click on them and need more help, you can contact them there. And then the next question is my preferences. Now, personally, these are my preferences. I could either use dark mode on or off. Now, if you have dark mode off, this is what it's going to look like. It's not going to look good, and it's not good to the eyes, something I really don't like. So that's why I have dark mode always personally turned on. Also, I have not checked the stream, so if the stream sounds bad, looks bad, or anything, I'm checking now. Cause I think. Okay, yeah, it works. And then the format. Now, Weatherwise will automatically put this in the 24-hour form. If you're not someone that likes using the 24-hour form, you can click on 12-hour, and it should be somewhat like your local time. Now the next button, and then they'll just have a whole bunch of extra buttons you can mess around with. The next button is this little search button. Now if you click on the magnifying glass, you can search for any place. Like let's search for Oklahoma City. Yeah, let's search for Oklahoma City. Yeah, you see, Oklahoma City would come up. You can search for pretty much anywhere in the U.S. Like, where should we go to? Why don't we go to Lawton? Boom, there we go. We're in Lawton. That is a very powerful kind of tool that you can use. And then we have the radar button. Now this is pretty much where all the power from the radar comes from. Now it should leave you on this screen the first time you open it. But if you click on one of these radars, you can see it says KINX and KTLX. If you click on KTLX, you will get the KTLX radar. Now you won't get this big beam. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you see the radar and everything. And then we have the composite button. Now this is completely somewhat like the main radar button, but you can see anywhere without having to click on a radar. You can see it's the whole US. Now you may see us use this button during coverages sometimes, just considering there's a lot of times severe weather is spread out across Oklahoma, so we use the composite sometimes. Next we have the satellite. You can see this shows us the cloudy conditions. Now the latest cause of Hurricane Aaron. Now, we don't talk about that on Stormwind Studios that often because it's not impacting Oklahoma, but we do like to look at it sometimes because sometimes hurricanes will push the remnants into Oklahoma, or even maybe it's not possible, but we'll see remnants. So we use satellite imagery sometimes just to see what we're expecting. And another one of the most powerful tools is the Outlooks button. Now this gives us the power to see the risks of severe weather over the next few days. You can click on day 1, you can see today's outlook. You can look at day 2 and see tomorrow's outlook, and then it goes all the way to day 3. Now, when you open this, you get also this button called Categorical. Now, you can see every outlook. I'm not going to go through all of them because I'd have to probably do a whole video on that. But I'm not going to go through all of that. So that is the main tab bar, I would like to consider it. You can call it something else, but I'm going to call it the main tab bar. And the next button we're going to talk about is right here. This button right here. We're going to talk about this. So first of all, let's talk about just the main use of this button. For some reason, okay, oh well. So if you click on it, it'll open up all the different types of radars you could use. Now, you can see it says KTLX, reflectivity. This will say whatever radar you were using here and what type of radar you're using. So let's go over just a little bit of what the radars are. So we have velocity. Now this is commonly used to, if there's a tornado warning, we will know pretty much right here. Right here is where if we have a green and red mixed together, then that's how we know that there is rotation. Now, sometimes I'm talking about the correlation coefficient. So if there's ever a tornado, we would be able to see it. With this radar, the debris getting picked up, so we get a little bit of an idea of what it looks like. And then we have all of this. They're not used that often, but some of these are actually used during winter time. We will talk about that when we get to that point. Because Stormwind Studios will never shut down. Well, at least until we have to. All year, it's still going. No matter if it's winter, fall, we're still going. Winter's going to have some different stuff going on. So now as you scroll down even farther than the outlooks and stuff, we have a new, this is another menu. It's called setting. It says settings. So you could have storm tracks on. So if you want to see a little idea of what direction the storms are going, you can see. And also if you click on them, well, you used to be able to click on them, but now you can't. You can see it says, it shows kind of the direction the storms are going. So now I know that these storms are heading towards like Choctaw and the radar and stuff. I like keeping that off, but the next thing is 3D radar. Use your mouse and kind of move it around. You can look below the storms and everything. It's a feature I don't use that often, but if you like really looking at the height of those storms, that would definitely be the use. The next thing is the lightning. Now, this is free. Oh, this is free. you can either click on plus, standard, or off. Now I would like to use standard, but considering I have plus, I just kind of have to use plus. But if you want to use standard, you can. It's pretty much the same thing. But basically, if you're using standard, this is what the lightning is going to look like. These little lightning bolts. But if you're using plus, they're going to look like these little dots. Which the reason why there's a standard and plus is because standard does not show all of them. It only shows a few of them. And then we have the reflectivity unit. It's the DBZ. That's what I like to use. But you can also use DBZ plus RR and HR. And there's a few other ones you can choose. The next one is the velocity unit. I like to use miles per hour, but if you use like kph or knots or all those, you could also use them. They offered that. Now the tower icon, like I talked about a little earlier with the radar, you click on them and it shows the radar. You can either fill it with the code or you can have it be a dot, which I like it with the fill with code, so you kind of see what radar I'm clicking on and stuff. And it does go even farther down. You can click and you can mess with the playback speed, which I haven't told you about yet. I haven't told you about this place yet, I'll come back to that when I talk about it. And then there's just a whole bunch of other plus stuff. I'm trying to keep the standard, but I'll probably talk about plus a few times. Now that we're actually here, we can talk about these 4 buttons right here. So we can click on the first one. I'm pretty sure this is the cross section. I never really used this. Well, it just got added like a week ago, but I never probably am going to use this. But if you like using cross section, Weatherwise now has cross section with it. And the next button is right here. This right here, if you want to just keep radar on and you don't want to see the dots or fill the code, you can just click on that and then it'll go away. If you click on it again, it'll come back up. Here, if you click on this with DBZ, you'll show the amount of DBZ in it. But if you click on this with velocity, it'll show the amount of winds are in it. How strong the winds are in it. And then this button right here is how you can look at the playback. Now this is fancier than other radars because it actually shows what the past warnings and stuff. And you can go all the way back 200 scans totally. That's before, now these storms right here, that's before these storms even formed right here. That's cool, honestly. And then there's a whole bunch of other, that's the last of those options. Now it's the big menu. The 3 lines right here. If you click on the 3 lines, you have access to taking a screenshot, which I'll show you. All you have to do is click right here, screenshot, and boom. You can see it just took a screenshot right there. It's that easy. And then you can name it everything. SPF, love cow SPS. There we go. It's that easy. You can see it, and then I got a notification that says downloaded completed, which you should too, but you can't see it because it only shows the Weatherwise screen, of course. And then you can share the map. It'll come up with this. You can share them. It gives you an option to share the map within Facebook, Reddit, Telegram, X, WhatsApp, and SMS. But I like to just click on the copy and then, yeah. And then you have access to turn on hazcams, which unfortunately Oklahoma does not show any of the hazcams, which, just out of state, there is a hazcam in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, which we can't see with it, so we do sometimes use it. Okay. Yeah, and there's a whole. I mean, if I zoom out, there's a whole. When Hudson Fam WX was in, I think Memphis. Yeah, Memphis. We were tracking some storms in Memphis for him. And we got a lot of access to cameras in the path of those storms. For example, here, the Linden, Tennessee. There's a lot of cameras across the U.S. Just Oklahoma does not have much of them for us to see, or yeah. And the next button on here is the spotter network button, which I don't like to leave on because it does show you, like, pretty sure it shows reports from storm spotters, which it doesn't really do much for you if you're doing stuff like this. The next button is storm chaser, which I like to leave on. We might have some storm chasers out. Yeah, we do. We have some storm chasers out here all the way up in Minnesota. Alright, I'll click on Corey Gherkin. You can see if you click on a double time. Hang on, let me turn off his audio. You can see there's a few buttons you can click on. You can look at the amount of times, the amount of people that are watching it. You can see where he is right here, and you can click on follow, which wherever he moves, it will move the radar to that too. Interesting, and you can also turn off the audio right here and watch it live. Pretty cool feature. I definitely use it all the time when we're tracking storms in Oklahoma. So yeah. And my location. So I don't have any locations, but let's say I want to add the storm warning office. If I want to add the storm warning office, you can see I can position it pretty much right here. This isn't the actual storm warning office's location. I'm just clicking somewhere in the Edmond area, which the storm warning office is. So now now I have that typed out. I can click on marker here, and I can choose what marker I want it to be. So it can be an observation tower, it can be a paint, it could be all of these. I'm gonna put it as the car one. Yes, you can search. I'm just gonna put it as the car one. And then I can reposition it because for some reason it got clicked off. Click save. It's saving. There you go. Now it's there. You can click on it, and then it shows you the coordinates. And then we have y'all mode, which is personally one of my favorite things you can do on Weatherwise. You can see what the famous YouTuber Ryan Hall, the famous weather YouTuber Ryan Hall y'all sees. You can see you can toggle on and off y'all mode. If you toggle it off, this is what Hudson sees. He doesn't like when he uses Weatherwise, even though he uses Supercell WX a lot of times, which I will eventually get to. I will eventually do a whole stream on how to kind of use. Hang on. I hope my connection isn't good. I hope my connection is good because I haven't checked the whole time. Yeah. Hang on. I hope my connection isn't good. I hope my connection. Yeah, you can also see Ryan Hoyle's map style. Sometimes if you're on mobile, it'll turn off the warning polygons, but you can just click on it, the view button, and yeah. Which, the next button here is the split view button, where you can actually look at like velocity and reflectivity at the same time. Here, for example, here. I don't like using that, but if there's multiple storms and I just don't want to keep switching through, I can use that. And then we have expert mode, which is one of the latest features Weatherwise added. So you can see back up here, we have radar. So do we have outlooks. There we go. Now we have the outlooks and radar on at the same time, which I think is personally pretty cool. Yeah, sometimes I'll start using that now. Next, we have the navigation feature. which you can't use much on PC, so don't expect to be using this on PC that much. But you can either turn on Storm Chaser mode, which I once again it doesn't work on PC, and then you have the draw tool, which you can kind of draw around on radar and stuff. The next button we're going to be looking at is the button here. It's the alert button. So we can see every alert which is in effect right now. Everywhere, which and you can look at the warnings you can look at the warnings only, and you can also look at the watches only. And if you click on plus, you can see advisory statements, outlooks, forecasts, discussions, and tropicals. Next, you can click on the settings button. There are some alert settings you can mess with. Now, these are my settings. Now, something I've been trying to mess with, which I check storms all over the U.S. I just don't do it on Storm Studios. I like keeping this here, but if you wanna cover your state only, you can do that with this tool. Find Oklahoma. Oklahoma, where are you? If you find Oklahoma, you can only set it to be warnings only for Oklahoma. And then you can go through and you can mess with personal warning, which I have these two turned off, just because most of the time these are always in effect, the short-term forecast and the hazardous weather outlooks. So every once in a while, I'll turn them on just to see what we're looking at. And you can even search for warnings, like if I search for, if I just say T, I could search for tornado warning. Now, there are a lot of features with Weatherwise, so I'm sorry if I missed any important features. But that's pretty much all I am going to do for this stream. So thank you for watching, everybody. Make sure to like and subscribe and join our